Lesson 12, new work. Lesson 12, I want you to write something down in your notebook. And if you're doing it on the worksheets, I want you to write it in big letters at the top, somewhere. It can be at the very top. This lesson's new concept is adding zero pairs. In last couple of lessons, you were just finding the zero pairs and you were grouping them if they were on the same side of the equal sign and setting them aside. Beginning with this lesson, our strategy to solve is that we're going to be adding zero pairs. And by that I mean we're going to be adding an x and the opposite of x to solve the problem. So pause the video if you need to write that at the top. Okay, the first problem shows that we have 3 opposite of x's on one side, 3 stars on one side, and we have an x and 16 on the other side. So setting that up with our manipulatives, you can see that I've got variables on both sides. And what I have done in the past when that has happened is I have start on the side with the least number and I pull down. And that's still what I do here. But I can only pull down an x with an x, or in this case a craisin with a craisin. I don't have any craisins over here. I've only got chocolate or butterscotch chips. So what I need to do is over here, I need to find my manipulatives, which are right here, and I need to grab a zero pair. I don't just grab the craisin because this isn't 0. This is 0. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to say which side do I need this craisin on so I can pull it down. Well, it's not this side. I've already pulled down one on that side. It's this side. So I'm going to add this 0 pair to the opposite side that I just pulled down on. Now I have a craisin to pull down. Algebra says if I pull something down on one side, I can pull something down on the other side. Math also says I can give anybody 0 and not change what is already there. So the fact that I'm adding 0 to this side is not changing the overall equation. What it is doing is it is allowing me to pull this down and have it be equal. An equal quantity that I've pulled down. Looking back up at my equation now, you can see that I have 4 opposite of x's are equal to 16. So each one of these must be 4. This is still a positive number. It's green. So my opposite of x's are equal to 4, which means my x values are -4. Let's see what our check is. We have to bring everything back up for the check. I know this is 0. These are 4s. So 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 4 is 12, or 4 times 3 is 12. Over here I have 16. 16 plus a negative 4 is 12. So my answer is 12 equals 12. On all of these problems, you are going to have to be adding a zero pair to one side or the other to solve it. So let's clear our boards and set up the second one. This is 3x plus 15 equals 2 opposite of x's. Three x plus 15 equals 2 opposite of x's. Okay. Now, on this one, before I simply look and see which side has the fewest number of variables, I want to think about this. Well, we can do it that way. This side has the fewest number of variables. I pull them down. If I pull 2 down on that side, what do I have to do on this side? I have to pull 2 that are just the same down, but I don't have any. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go over and make a zero pair and add it to the opposite side and pull down. But I need to pull down 2, not just 1. So I'm going to have to make another zero pair. It doesn't matter how many times I add 0 to a quantity, the quantity still stays the same. But now I can pull that down. What number do I have over here? I don't have anything. I actually could put a number there though, because when I don't have anything, the number that represents that is 0. So what that's telling me is when I add a positive 15 to something, I have to get 0. This plus 15 has to equal 0. So these must be opposites. If this is a positive 15, this is going to be a negative 15. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 craisins right there. I have 5 x's, and all together they have to equal negative 15. So 5 times what would give me negative 15? Remember, a negative times a positive is a negative. So 5 times negative what would give me negative 15? Negative 3. Negative 3, negative 6, negative 9, negative 12, negative 15. Negative 15 plus positive 15 equals 0. So each one of those craisins, those are my x's, is a negative 3. That means the opposite of this would be positive 3. Again, notice that the absolute values are always the same digit. So let's see what my check is now. I'm going to move these back up. I'm going to move these back up. And I'm going to say, well, There's a 0 pair. I can ignore that one. Here's a 0 pair. I can ignore that one. So what am I left with? Well, I said each one of these was a -3. So I've got 15 plus -3, 6, 9. That's going to give me 6. On the other side, I've got 0, and I've got 3, 6. So my check for this is 6 equals 6. If I add these zeros back in, it's just 6 plus 0 plus 0. All right, number 3. Hang in there with me. Number 3 has an x on one side and the opposite of x and 24 on the other. Okay, now this time I have the same number of variables on either side. So, thinking about how this would be easiest to solve, I would say if I can get variables on one side and numbers on the other, it's always easier. So since I only have numbers on one side, I think I want to pull this guy down so that I can just get my numbers all by themselves on one side and have variables on the other side. But if I pull down 1 opposite of x here, I should be pulling 1 opposite of x down over there, and I don't have any. So remember my strategy? My strategy is adding 0 pairs. So I'm going to make a 0 pair, and I'm going to add it to the side opposite of where I just pulled down. And now I have 1 to pull down. The most common mistake kids will make on this lesson is they know that they need a butterscotch chip over here to pull down because they pulled 1 down right here. And so what they'll do is they'll just add 1 butterscotch chip and say that this is their 0 pair. You can't do that. You have to make 2 items be your 0 pair. And then you add that pair to the opposite side, and then you pull down. So now I'm left with 2 times something equals 24. So I know that each of these is a positive 12, which means the opposite of that is negative 12. So let's move it back up and see what our check is. Well, here's my 0 pair. If this is 12 and this is 24, 24 plus negative 12 is 12. So my check is 12 equals 12. One more. I've got 3 negative x's, and I've got an 8, and I've got x all by itself on the other side. 3 opposite of x's. Excuse my misspeaking there. Okay. So, this is a similar situation. that I had before. I've got a number block here, and I'd really like to just have a number block all by itself there. So I'm going to pull these 3 down so that I've just got this guy left over here. But if I pull 3 butterscotch chips down here, I have to pull 3 down over there. So I've got to make 3 0 pairs. 1, 2, 3. So now I have 1, 2, 3 that I can pull down. And I have 4 left up here. So each one of these, which represent the x's, is equal to 2, because 2 times 4 is 8. And if those are 2, the opposite of x is going to be negative 2. So I'm going to move everything back up. Take those 0 pairs off to the side and see what I have left. This is only 2. And over here I have negative 2, negative 4, negative 6. And negative 6 and positive 8 is 2. So my check is 2 equals 2. Now, you're going to use this same strategy, adding opposites, on Lesson 12, on Lesson 13, and on Lesson 14, you're going to have a new strategy.